So also something I didn't show you was that you can actually rotate the frames in here to correct the orientation, and also you can command select if you just want very specific frames out of the selection here. But right now we're going to uncheck all of these so it doesn't scan everything. Just select this first one, and if we go into normal and take it off thumbnail, it actually allows us to crop the frame ourselves, so that we might be losing a bit of information there that we wanted. So let's firstly spin this round so it's the right way round. This is the first frame that we want to look at, just down here. So I'm going to draw a marquee around this, and I'm going to hit zoom on here, and what that will do is it will give us a larger preview of this individual frame to work on. This is called clipping, which you might be familiar with. If you overexpose in your digital camera, you'll see the highlights just disappear. If you've shot film for some time, you'll know that film doesn't really behave like this. You don't lose information quite as sharply as it appears that we're losing it here in the highlights, especially in the scanner doing this. Now, if we want to stop the scanner software from doing its automatic exposure, so we're just going to take a look at an overview of the settings in professional mode to get us started here. The first thing we want to do is just to check our configuration. It's going to be set to automatic color control up here by default. We just want to take this off, put it on our own color management, and make sure that this isn't set to sRGB, it's set to Adobe RGB, and click OK. If you're not familiar with that, don't worry. All it means is it's basically giving us a starting point where it's not compressing anything or losing any information in scanning. Now the next thing we need to do is just work our way down. These settings are fine. Image type, we are going to scan it as 48-bit color, which might seem unusual, but again that just gives us the broadest range of information that we can start with before we make our final image. Resolution, now our final scan, we want this to be at 2400 dpi. This is about the highest that the camera in this scanner can resolve. It's going to take a while, but it's going to give us a huge image and a good master file to work from if we want to do something important with this, like print it large scale later. Now we're done with that. We want to look at the adjustment settings down here. This one here, auto exposure, is what's responsible for throwing away our highlights here. So we want to make sure that we override this and start to look at our manual settings, which are these along here. We're going to click on this one to bring up our histogram adjustment. You might be familiar with what a histogram is, what it represents and what it does, and you might not be, but if you're not, don't worry and don't let this kind of spook you. I'm not going to go into a lot of real depth here about what this is, and we can save that for another day, but I can tell you that basically this curve here represents all of the tonal information in our image. So down here we have the shadows through our midtones here and the highlights up here. And you can see that where it's placed these triangles is where it's kind of balancing out the image, and it thinks it's doing a good job of giving us an overall good balance. But we want to just fix that by moving these arrows out so that they hit the ends of the curve, so that one more or less out to the very end of the curve there. The one for our shadows, bring it here. Don't worry that we're making the image look worse to start with, because we now go down here to our clipping, which is cutting off our values for highlights and shadows, and we can move those out all the way to end of this line here, and then we can bump up our midtones just a little bit by dragging this across to the left. And you can see right away that whilst the image looks overall kind of muddier, we've gotten all this information back in the sky. You can see detail down here in the surf now, and that's really important, because if we'd just gone ahead and scanned this and sent it straight to Photoshop, we'd never have been able to recover this. It's gone for good. Whereas by doing it here, we're forcing the scanner. This has introduced some color cast into the image. We can work our way along to the next one, which is the image adjustment here, and this gives us a whole bunch more sliders, and we can just pull the saturation down to 0 and click close on there. We can boost our midtones up just a little bit, but we want to be careful that we don't do that too much, because what we're looking for really here is, if you've ever used raw images in your digital camera, you'll know that when you open up a raw image, it actually looks quite flat and not as vibrant as like a JPEG would straight out of the camera, and that's because it's giving you all of the tonal values that the camera actually sees, and it's not making any manual adjustments to that. It's leaving it up to you to do that later. So whilst we've made this look a little bit muddy, we've got all our information back in the shadows and the highlights, which gives us a perfect starting point to go ahead and decide where we want to place contrast and tone ourselves and not lose any information in this picture. The last thing that I'll show you is saving this. So if you were to go into here, File, Save Settings, under Image Format, we want to have it on TIFF and not JPEG. Which just again makes sure that we don't end up with a compressed image, and from there that's really it. We can, if we go ahead and go OK there and scan, that's going to give us the best possible scan that we can get of a black and white image from the Epson software to start with. So I'm just going to show you a quick before and after to show you what the adjustments we've made are. So if you look at this and then we go back to click on auto exposure here, you'll see that this is where we lost all this information, and it's just, this would be no good, an unacceptable starting position for me. So yeah, we can work from this next week, just so that you can see how I've done this. I'm going to quickly work let's go through the other image which I'd like to work on next week, which is this one here. So I'm going to follow exactly those steps that I just did with you, but I'm just going to do it super quickly so you can see again. And yeah, let's go ahead and do that. So I've just zoomed in on a preview of the other negative that I'd like to work on next week, just to show you again these steps about these values on our histogram. About these values here, make sure that the curve is set to linear, boost up our brightness values just a bit, and there we go. It's as straightforward as that really. We just want to make sure that we haven't lost any of our tonal value in this image and we've got a good starting point. So from there, I would just click on scan. You can see the before and after. So we would never have been able to recover anything from that sky. Now, all of this might seem like a lot of information, but really you can use the first part of what we looked at today to get you started, and that will get you sharing and get you using the software. This all comes with practice, and after a while it will just become intuitive. There's the same steps every time, especially for black and white, so once you've done it a couple of times you won't have a problem with this at all. So I hope you've enjoyed this week's episode, and I hope you'll join me next week when we start to look at post-processing. Thanks for watching.
Ya, ganado el ver, 3 segundos. Bueno, miren, enlace para recomendar amigos. Vamos a hundir, retirar dinero, vamos a ver. PayPal, eso. Enseguida. Wow, el repo. Wow. Perfecto. Wow. Wow, ¿cuánto está $200, loco. O sea, pero bueno, ya, yo voy a copiarles esto a ustedes. Ya, esto se lo voy a dejar solo ahí para que, o sea, ya ustedes comiencen relajados ahí, ganando dinero. Vamos a verlo en Chrome porque si no me uso. Bueno, el grupo, ustedes saben ya el grupo, saben cómo es ya. No creo que tengan que estar. ¿Cómo se crean la cuenta? Fácil y sencillo. Cuando ustedes les salga, Apples $2 por visualización, $9. Bueno, vamos a ver. no sé, el corto de, bueno, no de dólares, vamos, tiene que ser cortico, no tiene que ser tan largo, tiene que ser
Stop the FOMO. Do you ever fear of missing out on the 75-inch Sony X95J? It's $3,000 and it's on both Best Buy and Amazon. But hold on, don't write that check yet because there are 4 others similarly amazing 75.
Empiezan, tienen que hundir en la parte donde dice menú. Y van a hundir letras y listo. Vamos a ver este, pero este tiene que ser como 100 segundos.
The human body is a complex network of cells, tissues.
Una página se las recomiendo, 100% confiable. Si el pago me llegara ahora mismo, no sé si se voy a retirar ahora porque es buen shot, pero no se puede retirar ahora mismo. Tienen que tener por lo menos tienes que tener 200, bueno, pero ver video pago. Claro, eso se llama así, pues. Bueno, mis amigos, chao, espero que les haya gustado. Den suscríbanse, den un buen like y pues que Dios los bendiga. Chao.